Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another deep squat for you guys, starting right now. In fact, I'm going to do something extra on this baddie channel, if I can do it. There we go. I think I've started the video, I'm not really sure. Nope, I haven't. There we go. So, behind me, I have Bracken Bat Cave, and wanted to get into a little bit more comfortable of a full body weight squat so that basically I could tell you a story. Not really ever sure which direction the story is going to go into, but in this particular case, the story I wanted to tell has a lot to do with wildlife and nature. The nature of you and I is that for whatever reason, depending on where we started out, we have a certain type of skill set, and some of our skill set has been rooted in what's been given to us as far as what we have aspired to become. Like some of us might be in, I don't know, think of any industry, and in any industry that makes us that money that we are taking in, some of us are not giving accountability to the fact that even that industry and that comfortable lifestyle that we have has a lot to do with nature. So what I've got going on behind me is a video of Bracken Bat Cave where there are bats flying out of the cave, and the numbers that used to fly out of the cave were like this. They were phenomenal. And the same was to be said about the caves in, for an example, Carlsbad, New Mexico, at Carlsbad Caverns. And for whatever reason, the fact of the matter is that these species have been on a decline. If any of you happen to be in the United States, this particular week itself, when you're watching this video, you're going to notice that we're going to have some anomalies in our weather. And the weather, whether you recognize it or not, has a lot of impact on our wildlife and our vegetation, our ecosystems in general. It doesn't just slow down deliveries, for the scheduled deliveries that we're expecting and anticipating so that we can fulfill our own individual desires. It has a lot to do with impacting our overall scenario, where in some cases, some of us may no longer be able to thrive, let alone survive in some of these situations. So why am I going on and on about this? Well, every single time that I have a conversation with anybody, I like to relate it back to ourselves. If we're not putting in any effort for ourselves to be strengthened, then basically we ourselves are not allowing our own self the opportunity to thrive, let alone survive. So on this particular channel, I do involve a lot of conversations that have to do with past, present, and future. It's all happening at the same time. And in all of those cases, the conversation circles around gratitude, harmony, and whether we give any kind of credit to that which gave us the opportunity to survive and thrive. So if we don't give gratitude to those things, if we don't give attention to those things that are giving us the opportunities, it's very likely that some of those things will start to devolve and deteriorate in a way where it's possible that we ourselves may begin to encounter difficulties having even a basic conversation because we're under duress. If we're under duress, if we're always constantly in a fear-based, need-based, shortcoming-based situation, we're in survival mode. And some of us don't know what it's like to go without. So on this channel, I've talked about going extended periods without eating. I've talked about exercising. I've talked about self-care. And sometimes I think about it like as if it's self-preservation. And I also recognize that it seems like, at least in this nation, our opportunity for continuing in the way that we know it has been diminished to the point where maybe we won't have that life expectancy that we expected from the beginning. What do I mean by that? Well, look at all of the things going on around us and tell me you don't feel concerned that our leaders are kind of messing it up. And it's not just our leaders, it's us. We've all participated in this vortex of a scenario, polar vortex or spring vortex or summer vortex or fall vortex. We've all participated in the fall that we are experiencing right now. And if we don't take accountability and understand that we can also take steps in a different direction to help each other, then basically we're continuing to harm one another without knowing it. Is that a sin? I don't really know. Am I trying to preach to anyone? Definitely not. All I'm suggesting is that some who are responsible seem to treat others differently than those who are irresponsible, who would basically turn their backs on someone just based on a position of title or implied authority. So if you understand what I'm talking about, I hope that you're subscribing to this channel. I hope that you're giving things like this a chance and understanding that I'm definitely not the trainer that should be presenting this to you. I'm just an individual who's been squatting for over 6.5 minutes now, telling you a story, knowing that this story behind me has been on my channel as well, but it barely has any kind of subscribership or views or interest for some reason. I have an extreme interest in wildlife and nature, and so that's my primary concern here. I hope that you're subscribing to this channel for reasons other than seeing me do a deep squat and talk about random stuff that I don't know what I'm going to talk about at that time, because basically it's just off the cuff. This is an off the cuff channel for someone who's trying to make a living, even among the fact that maybe we're proceeding in the direction of dying. This world is theoretically facing a great extinction, and some of us might do better to reflect that to our fathers if we were able to somehow command an audience in a way that wasn't so demanding. So I hope that all makes sense. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Peace, love, and all that old school stuff. Wow. I might as well hold on for about 10 more seconds, and then I'll have been squatting for 8 minutes. Is that my record? Find out next time whenever I do this again. And again, thanks for watching. Peace, love, and all that old school stuff. By the way, this is my breakfast, and part of the reason that I'm having this is because it's one of those things that includes base level nutrients that sometimes we overlook as curative and restorative alternatives to just the medication that we're constantly being fed. Here's a picture of the upcoming forecast where I live. Stay safe out there.